Hey everybody, it's Angela and I am back with another process video, and this one is going to be using some of my stash, and I'm starting with this Maggie Holmes Bloom collection, and this was a paper pad. I believe I got it Tuesday morning a while ago. It's just the single-sided paper, and I'm also going to use this new item. This is the newest thing I purchased, and this was from Cheeky Studio, and it's the Wildflower Set 5. And I just love the colors of it. I loved all the little small florals. And so I'm going to scrapbook this picture of my granddaughter. And she just went to preschool. This is her first year in preschool. And so I wanted to scrap this. And so I matted the photo on a couple pieces of paper from the Maggie Holmes paper pad. And then I took the Cheeky Studio flowers and I ran them through my sewing machine. And you wouldn't have to. You could run it through the whole page through your sewing machine, but I wasn't exactly sure where I wanted to position them. And so I just ran them through because I was like, well, maybe I'll do a banner, maybe I'll put them in a circle. But I decided to put them in a big cluster like that over to the side and then make a secondary cluster over on the right. And I kind of decided that because you might have noticed in the close-up of the picture, my printer has a couple lines that keep going through it. I need to have it serviced. I just haven't been able to, afford to have someone come and fix it, I guess. So there's these little lines that go through it. And so this way I will be able to put flowers over that line and you won't really notice the quality of the photograph. And so I want to make sure to bring out more of the colors, and so in that secondary cluster I got that little yellow that's like the manufacturer's strip, a piece of the pink that I used to mat the photo on, and now I'm going through the cut apart sheet. And you can see I cut off the top of those tickets and where it says registration, and it has the green, the pink, and the yellow. And registration, I thought it kind of like she was registering for her first year of preschool is kind of what I was thinking. And I don't know what to use as a title or word, so I cut those. I don't wind up using them, but I move them around the page quite a bit. And I think what was throwing me was that I have all the flowers and the photo vertical, and I wasn't sure which things to put horizontal. So that threw me off a little bit. And so now that I kind of know where I want those flowers and I'm not going to be moving them around anymore, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to glue some of them directly down to the paper, and some of them I'm going to put up on some foam tape. So this one, like I said, I'm going to glue that over that line that printed on my photograph to hide that. There's actually one on the other side of it too, but it's not as strong of a line. You don't notice it quite so much. So, and then this longer strip of flowers I am going to put up on some foam tape. And so this is just some of that Scotch foam tape I had handy, so I thought I'd just go ahead and use that. Otherwise, sometimes I use the Fun Foam from Walmart. But since this already had the adhesive on it and my Scotch tacky glue is starting to run pretty low, I'm going to have to get another bottle of that. So maybe next time Michael's has a coupon, I'll get myself another bottle. So I kind of decide where I want it, and then I take the paper backing off and then just turn it over. So it makes it really easy to get them all positioned. And then I fight a little bit with the thread because I left the thread tails long on these, and I did want some that kind of tangled thread look. So I'm going to leave the thread tails on there. I will trim some of them a little bit shorter, but I will leave the thread. And it just so happened that my top spool of thread was white and my bobbin was yellow, so I have kind of a yellow and a white thread tails on there, which matches in well with what I've got going on, so that worked out. So now I'm going to go ahead and glue my photo down, and I glued these little backing strips down, which in hindsight made it a little more difficult for me later because I wind up deciding to wanting to tuck something else under there, and I've already glued it down, but I make it work. And so this is the last, I think, of the, oh no, I think there's still one more. Over on this side, I'm going to put this one glued directly to the paper. And I know it looks kind of messy or whatever, or, you know, because I've got them in really tight and stuff, but I kind of like that. It's kind of like a little flower explosion over there. And I loved playing with all these. And luckily, Cheeky Studio Tuesday gives you a lot of different die cuts in the packet. So I don't feel bad for like overdoing it. You know, I don't have to be stingy, I guess. I can just, you know, make a flower explosion if I want to. So I'm really liking that. And, you know, there's quite a bit of dimension there. And then, like I said, all those threads hanging. And then I do want to have a secondary cluster. I'm not sure at this point if I want it directly opposite my photo, but I actually wind up like this, placing it just a little bit higher than the photo. And I don't know what else to put on here, so I think, you know what? I am just going to use stuff that's sitting in bowls and bins on my desk, just some old stuff. So you're going to see me sort through, and I decided to just go ahead and leave it in because sometimes I enjoy looking to see what kind of product and older things other people have got and stuff. So I do go ahead and let you see me flipping through. I've got some bows, and I like those Bella Boulevard because it had the purple in it. I have these rub-ons that I've used a few of. I have those little rubber charms that I still have four of them left there. So I use the bird on this one, get rid of another one. I have these Heidi Swap clear kind of plasticky acrylic pieces that have gold on them. So I go through thinking one of those would work for a title. So those I just go through all my clear pieces. So here you can see I'm kind of still deciding where to put everything. And I like the touch of gold that brings to the layout, so I decide to use those instead of the cut apart special moment pieces that I had cut out earlier. And these are some Bella Boulevard bows on little paper clips that were just so cute. And so on this one floral strip that's up on foam tape, I'm able to put that bow in there, and then I put the little rubber charm bird at the top of the photo. And I'm going to pick out another one. I went back and forth as to whether to pick out the teal, the darker blue, or the lighter blue, because they're pretty much all the colors are represented in this. I think that's why I liked it, because it just has a little bit of everything in those florals. But I do go with the light blue bow because it has a white paper clip the same as the purple one has. So I think that cutie is just kind of falling off the side. It needs to be sitting on something. So I just go back. I remember seeing this card, this index card or Rolodex card that was purple. So I think that's going to be perfect. And that's where I wind up trying to wish I could tuck it under there, but I'd already glued it down. So I just see if I really like it. And then I go ahead and I cut it shorter so I can just barely get it under the edge of that yellow paper, and it's enough to work. So I'm just kind of scooching that, and then that way my cutie is on top of stuff instead of half of it being on the photo and half of it falling off onto the background paper. And then I use another portion of that Rolodex card in my secondary cluster. So I like this. I kind of want all the colors I have in the matting on the left represented over here on the right. So I'm just going to go ahead and glue those down. And then I'm going to use just a couple, two small strips of florals over there just to echo what I've got going on the left-hand side. I'm going to glue one directly to the paper and then put foam tape under the other. So now that I've committed, I go ahead and glue that Rolodex card down. And then I decide to, before that dries, go ahead and use my tiny attacher to put Cutie down. And then I'll need to get my mouse pad and put under there and, open up my stapler to staple the C down since it's too far in the page and the throat of the stapler isn't deep enough to go that far into the page. So now I just have to bend the prongs over by hand since I stapled into that mouse pad. And then I go ahead and I glue down that bird charm because it's really old, and so I knew it wasn't going to stick. It was wanting to fall off already. And that's the thing with a lot of these old supplies, and I'm kind of glad, I'm going through these because you'll see I try to do these rub-ons here in a little bit and they don't rub on anymore. So I wound up having to throw those away. So yeah, some things just don't last forever. The stickers are easier because if you lose the sticky, you can just you can still just glue them on, but rub-ons are hard. I've come to the conclusion that I should probably, if I'm not going to use some rub-ons right away, just rub them all onto some white cardstock and then cut them out later to use as stickers, like stickers, just glue them on. So that way at least they're rubbed onto something that I can use later if I'm not going to use them right away. So that way they won't get wasted. But you'll see that here in a minute. So now I've glued down those pieces of paper. I glued down the one flower strip, and now I'm putting this one down on the foam tape. And I like the color positioning of this better, but then my thread tails were both on the top, and I wanted one thread tail to be on the bottom, so I did switch those around. And I stapled the fun on there. And now I'm putting the bow again to echo what I've got going on the other side. And I go ahead and, since my stapler reaches, I go ahead and I staple each of those paper clips on there too, so that way they'll, be sure that they stay. And then I think, I want some word fragments. And so I go to the rub-ons and I think, yeah, these will work. So I'll get these used up. I was feeling good, hey, I'm going to use this up. And then, it's not going to rub on. So I take this first one, decide where I want it. I go to rub it on there. And it's just not going. There's like a couple tiny bits of it that transfer that I just kind of scratch off. So now I do a test. And yeah, there's just nothing. They just dried up. So into the trash they went. So luckily I used some of them before they went bad. But yeah, that's the way it goes. So when my rub-ons start to get old, from now on I'm just going to rub them onto some white cardstock and then cut them out and glue them onto my layout later. So I thought, okay, I do still want some word fragments, so I start going through all my word stickers. I pull out some gold ones since I do have, the gold going on in those kind of acrylic or plastic pieces there. But the words were kind of big, and so I don't wind up going with the gold ones or those gold hearts because they were like a duller gold than the words. So I keep looking. I've got some puffy stickers that have words on them, some puffy icons that I thought might work. I'm just going through a bin that has puffy stickers and word fragments. And just kind of, using what's kind of sitting all around my desk and going through it. And, sometimes it's frustrating to have to, because it takes longer to sort through all your supplies each time and look through everything. But it does keep you familiar with what you've got. And it's actually kind of fun to go back through and look at some of this stuff and, get new ideas for it. Because one of those puffy stickers has like a slice of pizza on it that, I'd totally forgotten about. And I was like, oh man, I should cut some of these food things out and put it into my food items, or something like that so that I make sure to use it, because you kind of forget when there's a mix of different icons on a sheet. So if you do have some themes going on, you know, like I do have a kitchen cooking themed bin that I put stuff into, or you have like kids stuff or holiday stuff, you could separate it out and cut those icon sheets up and kind of separate it by how you think you would use it. So anyhow, I decided to go with these Tim Holtz word fragments, and I liked the white with just the black letters, and they were small enough, and I liked the white matched the white that I already have on the layout. So I just pull a few of those, and that's the one that has the pizza on it. Yeah, I'm looking at that going, I should put that in my kitchen themed items. So I go through this Create 365 book, and I'm looking just for some little tiny things, and I find some little heart stickers, and I look to see there's another page that has them as well, so I would have enough to sprinkle a few as flower centers, and they're white with little gold metallic hearts on them, so that brings that other touch of gold and pulls that out from the title pieces that I have going on there. And so I just pull out to have like 3 of them on the left and 1 of them over on the right. So I'm liking that. I think about putting splatters, but I don't, because I wasn't sure what color to use. But it needs something, and I decide that, you know what, it needs something over there on the left. So I look through the Maggie Holmes paper pad again, and I pull out the bright yellow sheet that I used, the manufacturer's strip that had that same pattern on it as part of my matting behind my photo. So I find that page in the Maggie Holmes book, and I decide that I want to put a strip of that over on the left hand side. So I look to see if that's what I want to do, because I'm going to cut this off. So before I committed, I wanted to see if I liked it. So what I'm going to do is just cut a portion of that left hand side off, and I don't care if it's straight or not, because I'm going to kind of ruffle the edges of it anyhow. I just put a couple strips of adhesive down, and then I match it up on the other side so that I know I've got a 12 by 12 thing going on, and then I can cut off that extra piece and save that. And now I start trying to do it with my scissors to kind of ruffle up that edge, but that wasn't working too good. My fingernails actually worked better. So I'm just kind of ruffling up the edges, kind of folding it a little bit. I could have put some gold Heidi Swapp color shine on there, but you know what? I kind of liked it as it was. And so I decide, you know, this is great for getting back into creating layouts. This was a good first layout, and I will put a link to Cheeky Studio down below, so if you guys are interested in getting those cute little florals, you know, go ahead and take a look. Those would be great. As I thought about doing them as like little banners, would be so cute, or putting them in a big heart-shaped wreath or circle wreath on the layout would be cute as well. So I'll put a link to that. So here is the close-ups. You can see some of the word fragments that I used, close-up of those florals, the bow, the little rubber charm, some of those acrylic words. Then I have all the kind of yellow-white thread tails hanging loose on there. And then that little secondary cluster with another bow and another acrylic word. And so I will probably look on Facebook to find the actual date of when my granddaughter started preschool, and I will put that on there. And that is my finished layout. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions or anything, just leave them down below, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. Bye.